I'm Tan, and this is my 1999 R34 Skyline. How I got into cars, right? Looking way back, I was in middle school. I had an uncle that was really into cars and stuff, and he exposed me to the scene. He brought home a lot of old Super Street magazines and stuff, and then flipping through the catalog and just checking it out and seeing how you can do different builds, do different things. And you know, most people think it's just a form of transportation, but you can customize these things like it's like an outfit, I guess. The first car that I actually bought, it's a 1991 Toyota MR2. It was a non-turbo, but it was stick shift, and it was the body was great on it, you know, and it was a great vehicle. I've always wanted an MR2. I still own an MR2. Actually, I'm on my 6th MR2. That's my favorite car. Still to this day, it's my favorite car, and you know, it's a great platform. You know, when I was a kid, I always told myself I wanted to get one of those, just because, you know, when you see a sports car, whether it be a Corvette or Ferrari or whatever it is, it has that wedge front end where it's like pointy in the front and everything, and then two-door and stuff. So that's why it's one of my favorite cars and stuff. I've gone through a few different phases with that. You know, I've taken the motor out, put in a turbo, and you know, all kinds of stuff. But you know, you grow throughout time, and then you pick up newer ones. When you're behind the wheel and you're controlling every aspect of the vehicle, you could be at whatever gear you want, and you could put it out to whatever RPM range that you want to be at. So that will control it, right? And then so you have that sense of power of controlling this big, powerful machine, right? You know how everybody nowadays, right? They have an electric vehicle. When an electric vehicle person says they're into cars, are they really into cars? No, they're not. They're into the technology. So they're more tech people, right? Because the car drives the person. But when you're old school, like you guys and me and stuff, we want to have something that we drive, we control, and we're in control of all these aspects. And that's the passion. That's the thing that we like about this stuff. I'm an active duty service member. I've served over 24 years in the Marine Corps. You know, worked my way up all the way to the top and everything. So some of you guys might know what I'm talking about. And I've always wanted to be stationed in Japan just because of the JDM scene and everything. And that's what allowed me to get into the price point where I'm able to afford a lot of these different vehicles and stuff, right? While I was in Okinawa, Japan for $15,000, right? We're talking about an R32 GTR, all-wheel drive, RB26, the legend, the Godzilla, the first one that earned that title, right? So after I got that one, I brought it over to the US and stuff. And then the R35, I didn't pay much for it. You guys are gonna, some of you guys are gonna hate me on this, but I actually won that car on a raffle. Right, so there's 400 slots, and then $350 per ticket. I only bought one, and then somehow they called my number, and then they said I won, and I was like, you know, $300-some R35, right? so I got that car, and then I ended up selling the R32 because you know, I didn't need 2 GTRs in my life or anything, right? So I got rid of that one, and then I picked up a Supra. You know, that's a 93 Supra. You'll see it inside here. I'm pretty sure Miguel's gonna post it on this video. And then I got the Supra on my birthday a couple years back. I said I was gonna get an NSX, so I scooped one of those up. It's a 1994. Hey, what's up, buddy? Oh, so, so I got a 94 NSX. It's a great platform, but it's not, I don't know. I guess learning about it, when I first got it, it was very underwhelming. It wasn't that great of a vehicle until, you know, I had a friend that says, you know, keep it high revving, keep it above 5,500, and then you're gonna enjoy it. I was like, all right. And then it really did open up, and it was a lot more fun. So I guess you gotta learn different cars and the way they are, right? After a while, I was stationed in Bahrain, in the Middle East. When I was out there, I picked up a Civic, you know, a hatchback, just so I can tinker around, just to keep myself busy and everything. After that, my friend showed me an R34 on IG that was for sale. And I was like, no way, I'll go check it out. I checked it out and I was like, oh my God. He was selling it for like $63,000 US dollars. And then I was like, man, that's kind of pricey. Let me just lowball, throw it out there, throw it a different number. Let's do 50K. And then to my surprise, he's all like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm getting an R34 now. It was unexpected, but yeah, when you get a good deal, you got to jump on it. You have to make it happen. You can't just, you know, sit on the sidelines. And that's how I came across this one right here. Most of you guys can relate with me. I didn't have much money growing up when I was younger and stuff. And then when you're wanting to do stuff to your car and you want to make it personal and you want to make it yours and you want to make it a little bit faster, a little bit cooler, a little bit, you know, pizzazz, whatever it is, you don't have the funds to do all these different things, you know? So you go and try to figure it out and be like, oh, I want to do this to it. All right, well, let's buy the tools and make it happen. And then you're going through it and then taking things apart, putting it back together and stuff, and then you gain experience from it. So it's that's how tinkering around, you know what they say, right? Excuse my language, but you fuck around until you find out, right? So you mess around with it enough to actually learn about the process and figure it out and doing it. So it's good. It's always been that, everybody always says it, right? Every Skyline owner, they always say it's the forbidden fruit. It's never been sold in the US. And when you're like us, you play video games and these cars are always the fastest, and there's always the top tier thing that you have to work your way up to get and everything. And then, so it always puts that passion for you to achieve someday, right? Now that I'm older, right? I'm a grown-up with grown-up money, you know, but I'm still a kid, but I still want the things I always wanted. So it's achieving something that you've always wanted, and you know, it's been a journey, but I was able to do it. All right, for all the young guys that are out there, right? It took me a while to get to where I'm at, you know, and I'm happy. I'm content with the way life is and everything. It's because of my 20s. It felt like I was lost. I felt like I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was just doing my thing, and I was putting my career in front of me and making sure I do what I need to do to just go through life, right? And then one day I was like, you know, I'm gonna focus on this. I'm gonna try to do the best I can and just try to make take things serious. So I was grinding from about 22 to into my 30s. I kept pushing, you know, and then focusing on myself and everything, and it actually worked out. The stuff that I've been achieving, I started to achieve it after 35. You know, even though I did have little project cars here and there, but after 35 is when the good money started coming in, and I started to, you know, understand myself. Like, all right, you know, I'm gonna talk about something separate outside of the car scene and everything, right? When you're younger, you could just jump into things. You could go on a 3-mile run. You could go lift weights, and then you're sore for one day, and then you bounce right back, right? Now that when you're in your mid-30s and stuff, you have to listen to your body, right? Your body tells you these things, and you have to give it time and everything. So being older and understanding myself, my body, physically and mentally, I listen to it now, and it tells me what's good for it and everything. And things are working out pretty well now, you know. I'm in my early 40s. I feel like I'm still in good shape, you know, but life is pretty good now. But you have to focus on yourself and make sure you're good to be able to enjoy this later down the road. So grind, expect to be close to your 40s is when you're going to be able to excel, and you're going to be at the peak of your male performance and your financial standing and everything. All right, so jumping back into the Skyline, right, the R34. You know, I'm gonna give you a little bit of background about the vehicle. All right, like I said, I was stationed in Bahrain, and then I saw this vehicle. The owner gave me a heads up, a background about the vehicle. If you guys don't know, a few years back, right-hand drive vehicles are illegal. They're not allowed to be driven on the roads in the Middle East at all, right? So the crazy thing about this is one of the prince in Bahrain got the vehicle from Japan, and then he brought it over and he told the traffic directorate, which is the DMV, that, hey, register my vehicle. And of course, being royalty, you'll be able to register it. So this is one of the first registered right-hand drive vehicles in the Middle East, right? And you know, it's been it got sold over to another guy after that and everything. So it's a pretty cool story. You know, it was royalty owned and everything. So I even had the documents to go with it, like how many people owned it out there in the Middle East and all kinds of stuff. Talk about this vehicle, right? The platform of this one. It started its life off as a GT, right? I know you guys are like, I'm used to hearing GTT. No, well, this is even lower than that, okay? So the GT model, right? And then they have the GTT, and then they have the GTR, right? So these are the different platforms. It makes no sense for a GTT to go to an RB26 motor, because you're talking about a fractional difference, right? Of power gain. You know what? If you don't mind, I'm gonna school you guys up about the RB25 and the RB26. So the RB25 and the RB26, right? Everybody knows about the RB26. That motor has been around since 1989 for the R32 GTR, all the way up to, you know, the latest R34 GTR, right? So the RB26 has always been the legendary motor that everybody wants. But did you guys know the RB25 is actually a better motor than the RB26? Here, I know you guys are gonna make some comments about it, but I'm gonna explain why. The RB25 has a Neo. The Neo is the VVTi / VTEC of Nissan. Now you're wondering, okay, so the RB26 is still better. No, okay. VVTi, you can control low-end power. You can control how much power goes into the vehicle, right? The RB26, the big power ones, you guys heard of the HKS VCAM, right? HKS VCAM is putting VVTi VTEC into that motor. The RB25 has the Neo, which it already comes with that technology. So what you're doing is you're putting that same RB25 technology onto the RB26. So that's the reason why the RB25 is actually a better head than the other one, right? So let's go back into what I was talking about earlier, right? It makes no sense for a GTT to put in a RB26 motor into it, because there's fractional difference in power, right? So, but if you have a GT, right, which is the lowest model, like I said earlier, it's a 2.0 non-turbo, the smallest motor they got, and it's the weakest one they got. So it makes sense for you to put an RB26 into the GT model. So it's not just an RB26 that went into this car. It's a fully built motor. Okay, it has HKS. Nice. All right. So it has an it has forged pistons, forged rods, cams, the fuel system, and this thing is at 91, right? I haven't gone E85. I'm not sure if I want to go that route, but it's pushing 592 to the wheels. In Touch Motorsports, they said, hey, if I decide to go E85, it will push me to around 750 or so. So, I mean, it's a big power gain, but do I really want to deal with all that? I'll see. I'll see. But it is a huge difference though. Just like another $3,000 more, I can have, you know, 150 more horsepower, right? So we'll see how that goes. Maybe you guys can drop a comment. Let Miguel know if it's worth doing, and then he'll let me know. Okay. So so that's the platform for the motor of the vehicle. It's very powerful, and it's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So that was the motor, right? Let's talk about that was the powertrain. Let's talk about the drivetrain. You guys already know the GTR comes with all-wheel drive system. Since it's a GT, it's a rear-wheel drive. So it's rear-wheel drive. It has a LSD rear end and everything, and it's been a lot of fun. You know, I did make sure to provide all the supporting mods to make sure it's a fun rear-wheel drive vehicle. It's a yellow car. So if you were to go to a dealership right now and you see a yellow car, let's just say the Toyota Supra, right? The yellow car, you're like, I was kind of iffy about it. I'm not sure if I really want it, and this and that. And then it's a love or hate kind of thing. So that's what happened, right? In Japan, it was a yellow vehicle. And then when it got to Bahrain, it was painted white. By the time I got to it, it was actually a red vehicle, and I was content. It looked very beautiful, right? And then I looked at the data plate, and the data plate said EV1 yellow. I was like, if this is the yellow I'm thinking about, this is a very rare color. Aside from, you know, the midnight purple and the millennium jade, this is the rarest one. There's 1.2% ever produced. So we're talking about just over 800 yellow vehicles. All right, at this time, while we're having this conversation, this interview, this is the only one in Southern California. I believe it might be the only one on the West Coast that's out here, and that's how rare this vehicle is. So it's been pretty good, and I guess you can't really get away with things with this yellow one. So to talk about the exterior, since we're talking about that, right? You guys already know the GT and the GTTs. They have the slim body, and then the front end looks, it's not as attractive, right? So the previous owner, he did everything down to the T. He cut out the quarter panels, took them out, and slapped them on. We're talking about $4,000 per quarter panel, and then the labor work that goes with it. And just the quarter panels alone in the rear side, we were talking about over $10,000 just to do that part, right? And then the front end conversion, you're looking at over $3,000 just to do that. And then he had all the OEM parts and everything. When I got the car back to the US and everything, I switched it up, and I went for a more aggressive look for the car. So I put in the Z-Tune style fenders, and then the Z-Tune hood, the bumpers and everything. As you can tell, it looks really aggressive now. It does get mistaken for a GTR all the time, and I understand. I mean, that was the intent, right? Try to make it look the best it could at the highest trim level and everything. But I'm not gonna front. I'm not gonna put a GTR badge when it's not a GTR. Why? I mean, okay, you guys already know I own another GTR, right? And I do respect the badge and what it means, and what it and how much honor people have with it and everything. And I cannot, in good faith, actually just slap on a GTR. And I've got that comment all the time. Hey, put a GTR on it. It's practically a GTR, but it's not. You know, there are things, right? It's rear-wheel drive. And you're looking at the VIN number, it doesn't start with BNR. So the BNR makes it a GTR. You know, I do want to say thanks to my friends that helped me put this together, GV, ETL Garage, In Touch Motorsports, that's Spencer, that's out there. He did a lot of the maintenance work, and you know, he added the two-step into there and everything, the button and stuff, and then he set me up to make sure the maintenance is all complete and stuff. And I do want to shout out to 5150. They're the ones who put the tune in and was able to make it so that I can have all these flames and all kinds of stuff. So these guys have been a lot of great help, and you know, I do come out to these Cars and Coffee all the time, and my buddies that come out, they're always here to support and have a lot of fun.